gears a little bit, we had a student contest last week for to invite some student speakers to come, and they all did an amazing job. And we're very happy to have our two winners here presenting the next two talks. The first of which is Ted Andersen.
Let's flip the calendar back 21 years. Bill Clinton is president, sex scandal free. Michael Jordan is the best thing to happen in sports since Babe Ruth. A Few Good Men is killing it at the box office. I'm Too Sexy is playing over and over and over on the radio. And there's a little boy in Texas who's watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on Saturday morning cartoons. He looks happy, doesn't he? He's not. He should be. He's perfectly healthy. He has a wonderful family who gives him all the love, attention, and resources a little boy could ask for. But he's not happy. I know this is where you think I'm going to tell you, oh, he probably suffers from some sort of mental handicap, or maybe one of his family members is sick or dying. That would at least explain why he's coming home after school every day and crying for 2 or 3 hours. The truth is, he's just sensitive. Kids make fun of other kids. That's a fact of life. And I'm not talking about bullying. I'm talking about teasing. Good old-fashioned little kid on little kid ball busting. You know, I make fun of you, you make fun of me, we're enemies, but next week we're best friends. That is a social dynamic that most kids figure out by a given age. Sensitive boys like this one don't figure it out. They hear someone call them a name, and even if it's not serious, they internalize it, they believe it, and they react to it. If this goes on for years and years and years, they eventually become isolated, depressed, and angry. If circumstances had been different, there might have been a pretty dark end for that little boy. But like I said, he had a great family. They helped him through with this. They were patient. He got over his negative cycle. And although he was a late bloomer, by age 16, he knew how to enjoy life. You know what? He didn't just enjoy life, he attacked life. I mean, he sang choirs, he was the lead in musicals, he volunteered in his community, he got good at karate, he played God with a lot of friends, he started to go on dates. He still had that sensitive streak that I told you about, but like everything else, he learned to rock that as well. In case you didn't realize it yet, we've been talking about me. Hi, I'm Ted. No affiliation with Tedmed or the TED Talks Umbrella Corporation. I've been asked to come here today to tell you a little bit about my education. I went into that whole spiel about my childhood because I feel it's my sensitive streak that led me to where I am today. And where I am is my first year of the doctoral physical therapy program at SUNY Downstate Medical Center. Now, this isn't my first time doing the whole getting educated and starting a career thing. I actually went to school originally for business and marketing, and I worked for 7 years at some amazing companies like Turner Broadcasting and HBO. I did not like that. I mean, I should have. It's a fun thing to do, but it was intellectually unstimulating, it was emotionally unfulfilling. I look in the mirror at the end of each day and say, hey Ted, what did you do today? Well, Ted, I helped sell some television programs. That it? Yep. So I had to find amusement outside of work, fulfillment outside of work. And I did what any red-blooded American would do, hanging out in the city. You know, go to SantaCon, maybe take a trip to Paris, play Dungeons and Dragons with my friends, or just hit up a golf club. Oh, sorry, time is off. Yeah. But no matter how fulfilling those things were, it didn't make up for the fact that my career was chronically unfulfilling. I needed a major change. So, like before, I found inspiration from my family. My dad's a doctor. My mom, she's a nurse practitioner. My sister, she's a social worker. Once upon a time, they convinced me to shadow a bunch of medical professionals, among them a physical therapist. And I watched him help some people go from not being able to walk that day to being able to walk on crutches. You know, instant results, kind of cool. That's a pretty rewarding career to do. I can do that. But you know, it's not that fun. I want a fun career. But after doing that fun career that I told you about for 7 years, I learned that the career doesn't need to be fun. You just need to be fun, and then walk into the room. So with that attitude in mind, I applied for and got accepted to SUNY Downstate's physical therapy program. And I couldn't have been happier to get started. Only problem is, I had no idea what I was getting into. I mean, I thought physical therapy was just this thing, right? Where you got people with diseases, injuries, conditions, and you're there to make them feel a little better, or deal with that better. And we're going to school school to figure out how to do that. And that's all pretty much true, but I didn't realize that physical therapy isn't a medical subspecialty. It's a medical specialty with subspecialties. You see, every physical therapist has to learn a great deal about the areas of neuromuscular, cardiopulmonary, musculoskeletal, and tegumentary. And that takes 3 years and you earn a doctorate for it. But after you graduate, you can go to any number of very interesting areas. You become almost completely different, but equally competent medical professionals. I mean, over here, you have an orthopedic PT who's helping people with terrible injuries recover their range of motion and their muscle strength. Over here, you've got a vestibular PT who's diagnosing and treating inner ear disorders. Over here, you've got a cardiopulmonary PT who's teaching the parents of cystic fibrosis patients how to drain the fluid from their lungs and live another day. Over here, you've got a PT with their own motion analysis lab, like in Hollywood. They're analyzing the walking pattern of their patients with neuromuscular and musculoskeletal conditions. Over here, you've got a PT who's using alternative therapies like Tai Chi, yoga, and something called the Feldenkrais method. And this was just scratching the surface. I realized PT isn't just a whole new career I've gotten into. It's a brand new frontier. And every day, I go to class and I get to learn about these things. Most of the time, it's pretty fascinating. Sometimes, it's amusing. Sometimes, it's a little boring. Sometimes, it hits home on a personal level. I was learning about peripheral arterial disease and lumbar spinal stenosis, two conditions that, tragically, my grandfather had been diagnosed with around the same time. I had to go to class every day and listen to my professor tell me how that he would develop terrible pain. The muscles in his legs were going to atrophy, and he's going to lose the ability to walk. And because he's so old, the possibility of reversing or stopping the damage is all but impossible. So, it's depressing. But it wasn't always depressing. It can be uplifting. I learned about this thing called a pulmonary embolism. This sucker is a clot that goes up into your lungs and gets stuck there. Cuts off all blood supply. NFL linebackers die instantly when they have one of these. But my Nana, she had 2 of them, back to back, and she lived for 3 weeks after the fact. If I hadn't been studying what I was studying, I would have no idea how strong of a woman she really is. And speaking of tough, PT school is hard. I mean, I knew it would be. I knew I'd have to study until 11 every night. I knew I'd have to study on Saturday and Sunday for 10 hours each. I knew I would have to pull an occasional all-nighter. But I didn't know, after doing all that, I'd still be struggling to get B's in any of my classes. I mean, I know I'm blonde, but I expect more of a return on investment than that. But I can't complain, you know? These questions, these exams, they aren't hard because the class average needs to be at a certain point, or because the teachers are sadists. No, it's because the human body is that complicated. The problems we're going to encounter one day are that difficult to diagnose and to treat and make decisions upon. They better damn well be hard. As one of my professors likes to tell me every other week, there's a reason they're going to call you a doctor. She's right. And you know what? I'm glad she's there. I'm glad all the professors are there with all their knowledge, despite the fact that we're constantly complaining about them, sometimes to their faces. There was this one time after my first practical exam, I made a really stupid mistake and pretty much ended up failing because I picked the wrong arm. Now, I complained about this fact to my peers in the PT lounge area. The next day, I had to hear about how I was stomping down the hallways, screaming at the top of my lungs, and having a temper tantrum. Now, in my defense, I walk very fast. In a narrow hallway, it sounds like stomping. I talk very loud. It sounds a lot like shouting to some people. In their defense, having complaints about an exam right outside of all your faculty offices isn't the best way to go about it. But, looking back, I'm really glad with how PT school has gone so far. I mean, I've learned a lot, and next year, despite the fact that it'll be harder, and that I can only imagine what working on actual patients is going to bring, I at least know I'm where I belong. I'm a sensitive guy. That's who I am. I have to own it. But it's not about me anymore. You see, when I go home and look in the mirror now, I say, "Hey, Ted, what did you do today?" Well, today, I learned an amazing amount of great information that may one day make the difference in someone's life. A difference in somebody who has reason to be sensitive. The day that I do that, and every day thereafter, is when I will deserve to wear a white coat. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.